So today we're going to be talking about a boy of 9 years old. He saw this picture of this monster and he couldn't get it out of his head. So he rented the VHS tape and fell in love with this character. Say 20 or 30 years later, he ended up making this movie. And that's the movie we're talking about today. So stay tuned. All right. So welcome back to the Horror Comedy Hangout podcast. My name is Chris, the independent filmmaker, and
I'm Jess, the not independent filmmaker.
Yes, and she just loves to critique films.
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I love to talk about them.
You love to talk about them and critique them, and we're critiquing today too. But what film are we critiquing today?
We are critiquing Nosferatu.
Yes, and which Nosferatu are we?
It is the newest one.
The newest one that just came out when?
What was it, like a couple weeks ago?
Christmas.
Oh, Christmas.
Came out on Christmas Day.
Did it come out on Christmas Day?
It did come out on Christmas Day.
Wow.
Up to me. Come to me.
Yeah, so welcome back to our podcast. We're going to be reviewing that today. So do you want to talk about it? Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay, yeah. I don't think we really have a choice.
I know. That's right.
We're like, okay.
I just answered my own question.
Yeah,
right?
you did just answer. Why am I even here right now?
No, you're here. You're here.
Tell us about it.
I want to tell you about it. All right, so let's talk about that. So I have IMDb pulled up here, and if you read IMDb, there's not a lot on here. It's just a gothic tale of obsession between a haunted young woman and a terrifying vampire infatuated with her, causing her untold horror in its wake. So that doesn't give you a lot, right?
No, that doesn't give me much.
No. So So let's get into what it's about. So this takes place in 1838.
Oh,
yes,
goodness.
in a German town that's just made up, but it takes place in that German town. And it's about this young woman, Helen, who's played by
Lily Rose Depp.
And her husband, Thomas, who's played by Nicholas Hoult.
Oh, yeah, I like him. He's good.
Yeah, he's good too. And Nicholas Holt's character, it works for a real estate agent, and he has to go to Count Orlok's castle, which is far away from there. And Count Orlok is played by?
Oh, shoot. One of the...
Bill
Skarsgård.
There you go. Bill Skarsgård. That's right. So
I was like, oh, it just slipped my mind.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So he has to go to the castle. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The castle, and get a contract signed because Count Orlok wants to move closer to town.
Ooh.
I know, right? Well, he just wants to move closer to town for some reason.
Does he want to move closer to town, or
does he want to be with his love? Yes. So that's the basic premise. It's a really simple premise. He has to go there, get this signed, and then he has to, Orlok is going to move closer. But the funny thing is, Orlok has this connection with Lily Rose Depp's character, and for her whole life, he's been in her head and infiltrating her dreams and all this stuff.
Basically controlled every aspect of her being.
Controlled every aspect of her being, yes. So that's the basic premise of that. Like we said, we have Lily Rose Depp, we have Nicholas Hoult, we have Bill Skarsgård, we have William Dafoe, and what was the other one I wanted to say?
Oh, we're messing us up.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, because he just came out with I forget the one that came up just recently that got really bad reviews. So at least he's in something that people are liking for the most part. Yeah. So that's a great cast, right? A really great cast of actors in this.
It's a very good cast of actors. It is. This is actually the first movie I've seen Lily Rose Depp in. And I didn't recognize her at first in the movie.
It's my first as well, but not for all the rest of the characters.
No,
yeah, it's
a little disappointing to see her.
Yeah. So, and then it's directed by Robert Eggers, and he's been around for a little while. He did The Witch, he did The Lighthouse, he did The Northman. Like I said at the top of the show, he became interested in this character of Orlok back in when he was 9 years old.
That's crazy. That
And
much of an obsession with vampires.
yeah, he saw the picture of Nosferatu and he's like, I like this picture. And then he talked to his mother and he's like, I want to see this film. And she said, we can rent the VHS tape, which took a long time to get for some reason. I guess they live in New Hampshire and it was not easy to get the VHS tape. So they got the VHS tape. His mother agreed to let him watch the horror movie long as they talked about it afterwards. And from that point forward, he became obsessed with Nosferatu and the story of Nosferatu. Skip forward from 9 years until he was in high school, and he wanted to do a play. So him and his friend, this girl from high school, they ended up doing the play of Nosferatu.
Oh, interesting.
And that's when he learned that he wanted to be a director. And she's in the business too, but she's in plays, playwright, play director kind of thing. So she continued on, but he continued on doing directing.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna talk about the good. We'll get right into the meat of this story because, like I said, it's an easy plot. He needs to get that paper signed. Thomas Falls succumb to Count Orlok. He narrowly escapes, gets back to his lovely bride, but guess who's coming over to not save the day? Count Orlok. He comes in and brings the plague into the town and takes over the town.
I was like, wait, did I?
Sorry.
Okay, not save the. I'm like,
not save
all
the day.
right, totally throw me off on that one.
Yeah, so he comes in and not saves the town and brings the Black Plague along, and he is there to find Lily Rose Depp's character and become one with her. So, like I said, we're going to start with the good. My biggest thing with this is I had trouble with this film, but there is some good to it. I think both of us had some trouble with this film.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of reviews out there that are good, but I mean, for me, it just misfired on a few cylinders. I know a lot for you, but cylinders. So you wanted to start with the good, correct? A little bit there?
Yeah, I'll start with a little bit of the good.
Okay.
So I know there's been a lot of things that out there, especially with Lily Rose Depp and her performance in this, especially because she's controlled and convulses the whole time. I think for me, like there was a little bit of that connection, but I also found it very interesting that she was able to play through all that and be in that character the whole time with all those convulsions she had to perform. So I think for me, it was a little bit opposite of what kind of everybody else is saying out there. So for me, I'm like, I don't know what it's like to be an actress, but to just have to convulse the entire time in a film, I was pretty impressed by that. And then another good thing for me I really liked was costume and set design. I think everybody looked amazing. There was one thing we'll talk about in a little bit, especially about
we'll talk about it because
design.
if you've read the title of this, you'll know what we're talking about.
You'll know what we're talking about for sure. But overall, the main things I really liked about it was costume and set design. And I kind of have to see a little bit different perspective of Lily Rose Depp's acting with all the convulsions. So that's kind of what I liked about it. But
I'm gonna get to that in maybe the bad section.
Yeah.
About Lily Rose Depp.
Yeah, I could go either way, but
okay. I know you went that way. That's
a little more good with it.
And a lot of people went that way with her performance. They loved her performance, almost Oscar worthy. And I'm like, I don't know about that.
Let's go that far.
Yeah,
I would say,
I'm not going that far.
You know, you work with what you got, so that's what she had to work with.
So
more power to you, girl.
But yeah. I mean, acting's not easy. It's not easy, especially doing all that.
No.
But I wanted to talk about some other good stuff.
Okay, cool.
That I found.
What you got?
But I'm with you on that. The set design was amazing. That's the one thing with Eggers is he really gets very detailed, and I resonate with that as a filmmaker as well. You want your set design to look amazing, the costumes to look amazing, everything, all that stuff adds into the film, into making a film, and I think he really brought that.
Yeah,
with all the way down to the props, like the gothic coffin that they made for Orlok was amazing. He really was very detailed and very detail oriented, which I know I am for that. So I give him props for that. There is a scene which if you are watching this, I'll put this up on the screen. It's when Thomas meets his invitation to go to Count Orlok's castle, and it's a crossroads, and the shot almost looks fake because it's just, but it's not. He spent 3 months looking for this crossroads.
Seriously?
Yeah, for this one scene, he spent 3 months, and then to fit the lighting in there, the way it's lit is just
Phenomenal.
Unreal. It looks amazing, and that's way Eggers is. So I have to give him props for that.
Mhm.
They worked on a filter that would take out the yellow and red wavelengths, so it was more cyan, because I guess you see more cyan in the nighttime, which I think that's why we use a lot of blues at night when we shoot and stuff like that, to represent the moon, because that's what we see in that. So they actually worked for a filter to make the night scenes look, which it was mostly a night, obviously, because it's a vampire movie, look more cyan and take out the red and yellow wavelengths. So they made that filter, because that is one good thing about the look of the film, is it looks amazing. It's very unsaturated, and I like that look too. I've kind of started to liking unsaturated instead of going so super saturated. It just looks stupid. Unsaturated is what I think, that's where it's at. And then the cyan, some of the scenes almost look black and white. People are like, oh, it's black and white, and
because it is a gothic movie.
It is gothic, so
you
it
gotta
does
give
fit
that
that tone. Absolutely. The wardrobe, like you said,
Mhm.
you like the wardrobe. I
did
know,
like
I
the-
know
like the
you're
time very
fashionista, right? Your wardrobe.
Oh yeah, did you see the Jurassic Park shirt today? Like,
Yeah, that's right. You're great wardrobe there. Yes, yes.
it's new. I had to test it out.
So visually striking, the monochromatic palette, camera work was really good.
Oh yeah, the shots were really good. I agree.
I'm going to talk about the good of this character, and then we're going to go talk about the bad of this character. So I want to talk about Count Orlok, and I also want to talk about Bill Skarsgård, because I really respect him as an actor and all the stuff that he's done.
Really good.
And this one, I just really puts him over the top as an actor, because he played Count Orlok, and he does not even look zero
Unrecognizable.
Unrecognizable. And he lost a lot of weight for this.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that one.
He went in to lose a lot of weight. And then you'll watch the film and you're like, oh, this is digital. This audio has been digitally changed. And there's only 2 scenes that the director said, Eggers says, that were changed digitally because he had to scream. But Skarsgård went in and worked with a opera coach to lower his voice 1 octave lower for this. And then he worked with Mongolian throat singers as well.
Mongolian throat.
Yeah.
What?
Mongolian throat singer.
No.
No. Okay.
Okay. Well, moving on.
Well, nothing we're going to review later. You're going to have to look
stay
up
tuned for Mongolian
throat singer
singers.
video. No,
Oh boy.
You're going to have to look that one up yourself.
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
So yeah, just saying that, like,
he did some training on that voice.
I can't even think about lowering my voice an octave lower and then acting with that.
Please don't ever try.
Yeah. And then his spells were from Dacian Roman era of the world. That's the dialect, the Dacian.
Oh.
But it's a dead dialect that he did, which is a complaint of mine, because you cannot
Understand.
a lot of the time you cannot even understand what the guy's saying. I mean, like, can I just put the subtitles on the screen on the theater, because I can't see what he's saying. So
Yeah.
and then
What else is good?
well, I'm also impressed with Eggers that he likes practical effects so much that he used 5,000 rats.
Oh, I was hoping those were fake.
No, in the foreground, a rat that was in the foreground was a real trained rat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
To give you that feeling. There was also other critters too, but mainly the big thing was the rats that stuck out.
1,000 rats?
5,000. Can you imagine being the wrangler on that set, trying to wrangle 5,000 rats?
No.
No, I couldn't either.
No, I'm not a big fan of those rats.
So,
No.
like I said, and we both said that this film is like
Struggle bus.
struggle bus on this one. There are the good things, and I do respect Eggers as a filmmaker myself. Not everything is going to hit home with you. Yeah, it's going to hit home with some people, and some people, they're just not going to like it. it doesn't mean I just respect him as a filmmaker. I completely respect him. I like The Witch. The Lighthouse was in. The Northman was for me. So, and this one was.
Just tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, I'm just telling you. I want to tell you how I really feel in this because it doesn't mean don't go see it, and we'll give you the rating at the end as well. So, let's jump into the bad of this as well.
Yeah.
So I want to hit what you were talking about with Lily Rose's character, Helen.
Mm-hmm.
She convulses a lot. A lot.
Oh.
A lot.
Are you showing us how she did it?
Yeah,
It was, like I struggled, like, because I liked it, but there were certain times that I was just like, can she act normal in one scene?
I was impressed of the way she contorted her body, and got into those positions and did that. That's a physical role, and
she's a tiny little thing anyway.
And I get it as a actor to put yourself out there. That must have been exhausting to go through all that.
Yeah,
but
that's what I commend her on.
Every time I went back to her, if she wasn't in a scene with her husband or some of the scenes with her husband, she was like convulsing, and I'm like, I get it. He's controlling her, but I'm like, oh my God, I'm not getting any depth of her. I'm just getting convulsing. I'm like, I was having a hard time, definitely empathizing with her, but even sympathizing with her at times. And then, there was a scene where she was convulsing, and then all of a sudden her and her husband were the next scene where they were getting it on. So I was like, well, I was like, wow, we go right from that to that. That's maybe that's what they like.
Yeah.
In the 1800s, 19th century.
Oh, you convulsed and then just went into.
Yeah. So I found at times Nicholas Holt's character, Thomas's, was more interesting. His journey going to the castle and running into Orlok. There was that scene when he meets Orlok and you can't really see him, Orlok. And it's just super scary and menacing. And you're like, oh my God, what's this guy going to look like? What's he going to be? How, is
it leads, I mean,
Nicholas Holt's going to get out of it?
Such suspense of leading up to what he looks like. And then when you see what he looks like.
Yes. So getting into that, we can go right into that. And then there's a couple other things I wanted to talk about too.
Let's go into it.
You want to go into that part?
I think we should.
All right. So we did that at the same time. So,
oh boy,
this is the spoiler part of it.
Yeah.
Because if you look online, there's really not a lot of pictures. And obviously in the trailer, there's nothing of what Bill Skarsgård's character as Orlok looks like. But when you see the film, you're like, it's like, oh my God, is this what you came up with? So, like I said, you can't tell that it's Bill Skarsgård, which is amazing. The makeup is amazing. The wardrobe he wears is amazing. His voice is amazing. But he has a 1970s porn stash. It is laughable. He looks like
poor guy,
Dr. Robotnik from Sonic the Hedgehog. Jim Carrey's character. That's the mustache that he looks. And I get it because I'm hoping that we get some comments finally on our channel. But maybe these comments are going to be like,
be nice.
You idiot. This is what they looked like back
in the day. We did do our research because I did mention to Chris after the film, I'm like, there were some men back in those times, because I do love time period films sometimes, that they had those very interesting debonair mustaches. And that was a sign of wealth. You were higher up on the totem pole, basically. Like you kind of like stood better in the community. You had a higher society ranking. So it definitely fit the time period, but at the same time, it was such like overstated to a point where he did end up, unfortunately, looking like the 1970s porn star.
Yeah, and it's just like,
it took away from the character.
Because like I said, that scene where Thomas meets him for the first time, it's scary because you don't really see him. His voice is menacing. He talks in this really hard understanding to what you're understanding. You don't know if Thomas is going to make it out or not. And then it's almost like you turn around and you're like, oh,
the voice did not match.
You start laughing. You're like, oh my God, he's got a porn stash.
I just did like a health tilt, and I was like, oh, that's not okay.
So I was like, well, maybe that's Edgar's trying to be, because he is very historic. If you watch all this stuff, he's very true to history. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
So don't do it. But he did it anyway. And then maybe he just like, I stuck with the history of it and I'm going to stick with the history of it. And it's just, it doesn't work. It takes away the menacing character that he would be. Because that was another thing of it. It's the movie's not that scary.
And I don't ever remember a Dracula or a vampire of that age
with a porn stash.
With a porn stash or even a mustache remotely. Because to me, vampires are maybe not as high up on the society totem pole. Or maybe they were at one time before they turned. But I get this is the OG of vampires.
I think they are that.
Just like
high society. He lives in this big castle.
All right, I'm wrong. But
no,
I don't resonate mustaches with vampires.
No, and I don't think anybody does.
No.
I really don't think anybody does. And the other thing too is, Count Orlok missed leg day every day because he's got these super skinny legs.
Chicken legs.
Oh, I know every
Poor
guy.
guy.
I know guys don't work their legs that much, and he did not at all do legs. Yeah. So porn star
Vampires to me are
mustache,
muscular.
and then his chicken legs.
Okay.
Was too much.
Poor guy.
But like I said, anybody out there, please comment if you want to. I'd love to hear some comments.
Yeah.
Make them
Please be respectful.
be respectful.
Yeah,
but yes, we did research this and it is historically accurate. But sometimes you gotta, as a filmmaker, they say kill your darlings, and that's maybe one of those kill your darlings. It's
Kill your
like
mustache.
kill your mustache. Let's make him look scary. Let's make him look like he sounds, and then what he is in the shadows and all that stuff.
They could have even given him like the straight evil mustache.
So, and the Max Schreck character was the original one, the silent movie, and he looks scarier to me than what his one, although it was silent. But other than that,
so the other kind of bad thing for me is I think the movie is unfortunately very slow too. And I'm one of those people, if you can't grab my attention in the first 30 minutes, I'm pretty much lost in a film. So I think that was kind of your complaint. It was just, it lacked luster.
It moves slow. And it's the other thing too, is you got to realize this is over a 2-hour movie. And I'm more like, okay, let's make this an hour and a half. We can do a good story, hour and a half, hour and 45.
Tops
for a movie. And that this is where I feel like a lot of scripts happen is this 2-act, and the second act is where it's sluggish, and it's moves slow, and the pace is very slow. Okay, when's the next thing going to happen? When's the next thing? And I'm like, I don't need explosions and car chases, and obviously you're not going to have car chases in 1800s.
Yeah, but give the suspense.
But I need some drama in there, and there wasn't in there, and it's just very sluggish. And I feel like definitely when you get into that realm and you become big and you're like, okay, now I can embellish and I can drag it out a little bit more and I can tell the whole story what I want to be like, no, Eggers, just pull it back just a little more. Let's just shave off a little bit more, and it would have been better. And then like the dialogue, many complaints about the dialogue as well. He again wants to be historically accurate and stuff.
I respect, but
then it was like some of the dialogue too much, and like I needed the closed captioning on to understand, and especially what Orlok was saying too, in his.
And I feel like for me too, like I get trying to be historically accurate, but I feel like he was trying to cram so much into this film and wanted to display it all, and it lost so much of the audience. Especially, I know for you and I, we were just kind of like,
a lot of the audience, not every.
Yeah, a lot of the audience. Some people really liked it, I'm sure.
Yeah. But I just didn't feel as connected to the characters as I was hoping. I wanted to really.
And I love vampire films, but this did not do it for me.
So, and the other thing too is it just, I think maybe that it sat with Robert Eggers for so long that maybe it was overpolished, maybe he overthought that, and it just seemed emotionally a little distant. And it wasn't as scary as I was expecting. Like I said, that scene where it was with Thomas in the beginning where he met Orlok, it was freaky because I was like, "Ooh, this is going to be
not
creepy."
This was
it was not scary or eerie enough. I mean, like I don't need a horror movie to be blood and guts and gory, and gory and stuff like that. But it wasn't, any of that. So most of it was just feeling a little disconnected. And I was always kind of hoping, going back to Thomas's character, I'm like, okay, let's get away from Helen, go back to let's go back to how Thomas is doing. I want to see how he's doing. Is he surviving? Being locked up in the castle and trying to get away from that and trying to get back home and that kind of thing. So that's where I wanted that to be. All right. So the final thoughts with this film. It was definitely a little bit of a miss for both of us.
Yeah.
And like I said, Robert Eggers, I highly respect him as a filmmaker. Some of his other films have been good, and some are going to be missed for you. He's a very talented filmmaker, but like I said, maybe we overthought this too much. The pressure to get it right was too much, because that's the other thing too. When there's already IP on it, there's already an original film. You're always going to get compared to the other films, and then people are going to be like, well, this is not like the original. So
nothing's like the original.
Nothing's like the original. The ending was interesting. I was not expecting how the ending was. And I think it ended okay the way it needed to end. So I'm okay with that. Robert Eggers, he's a more art house film kind of director. And I think, again, this feels more like an art house film. It's not very as commercial as some of the other films. And that's not good nor bad. It's just the kind of film in the kind of genre that he lives in a little bit. So for me, it was a miss.
Yeah.
Definitely
a miss.
Definitely a miss, but still something to go see. Just wait till it comes out.
Yeah.
Don't go spend the money. I think you can wait till you get to see it at home. But I definitely think you should see it, because, if you are a Robert Eggers fan, then you're definitely going to want to see it. If you're not a Robert Eggers fan, I wouldn't see it. But it's definitely something, if you are a vampire fan, to add into your collection, just for, to one time to see it, and, make your own judgments of it. It was just, like I said, it was just a miss for us. Our Screaming Smiles grading I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5, because, and you're going to be like, why 3.5?
Yeah, I want to know why.
I know you want to know why,
we
too.
don't discuss when we rate these. We just
do it.
Yeah, we just do it.
We just do it live. So I'm giving it that for the visual look, the set design, the effort that was put into it by Robert Eggers to make that film. I'm giving it that. Not 3.5 for the story. I thought the story had some issues. The story could have been shorter. I wanted to feel more for these characters, and I didn't feel much for these characters. And then, don't do the Pornstache. No. How about you? What are you giving it for?
I'm like borderline in between the 2.5 to 3.
Okay. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm lower, because, again, if you can't keep me entertained in those first 30 minutes, like, I need information. And then it's fine if the movie lags out a little bit. It's, because you have to sometimes tell that backstory. But when it's just not moving and all I'm looking at is the pretty wardrobe and the pretty scene and the details, I'm like, start paying more attention to those things than what the film is really trying to tell me or really trying to portray. And just, unfortunately, some of the acting just didn't hit either. Like you said, I didn't resonate with the characters at all, really.
Right.
Even though I do say Lily Rose Depp had she did a great job with what she had to work with for the character, but I really think overall,
and maybe they'll hit for you, but they didn't hit for me as much. And that's what's so amazing about film medium, is some people love it and some people hate it. So it's really good. But as long as we have a great discussion about it, that's what I like. And that's why we're here doing this. All right. So, thank you for joining us for the Horror Comedy Hangout podcast. You can...
Wow.
The podcast. You can watch us on the Horror Comedy Hangout podcast on YouTube. You can listen to us on any podcast platform at the Horror Comedy Podcast Hangout. It's very easy for me to say. Or please go to our website.
Listen to us.
Please go to our website. Please go to our website, thehorrorcomedypodcast.com. All the information's on there about where you can watch us, all the updated episodes. You can read our blogs if you're a reader, which, okay. If you're a reader. You might want
to be at this point.
You might want to read it. Yeah. And all that. So thank you. We will be back again in 2 weeks for another interview or review. So thank you for joining us. Please like and subscribe. And welcome to 2025, right? A whole year together with us. So stay tuned.
New Year, everybody.
Yeah. Happy New Year.